Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my videos. Gonna be going through with you what Gunnar Solskjaer needs to do to prove that he's the right manager for Manchester United. So I think he needs to improve our performances, not just the results. I think he's also got to improve his decision making because he has made a lot of mistakes in a lot of games that have obviously cost us. And I think this season he's got to get us a top 4 finish, and he's also got to win a trophy. There's a good chance Man United could win a trophy this season. I think we could win the Carabao Cup. We're into the quarterfinals of that. We've got Everton. And I think we could win the FA Cup. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will still be Manchester United manager in the new year. It's possible that he could still be Manchester United manager at the end of the season. I don't think he's a long-term manager for Manchester United. I don't think he can lead the club to long-term success because he's way out of his depth at the football club and he hasn't got that proven pedigree as a manager. Manchester United is the third club in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. Obviously, before he came to us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and he endured a very, very short tenure at Cardiff. The main explanation he got sacked from Cardiff is because he ended up getting Cardiff relegated. But I thought Solskjaer was a great player for the football club for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. I think Solskjaer's got to identify his best 11 at the club because I don't think he knows his best 11, and he's also got to select the right formation. Obviously next year he's got to make more signings, and obviously next year we are going to get rid of more players because there is still deadwood in the squad. Solskjaer's not only the problem though at the football club. There's still players at Manchester United that are not good enough to represent Man United. Roy Keane's recently come out and said that our back four and our goalkeeper are a problem. Obviously, our board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years. Main explanation is because our recruitment policy's been poor and none of our managers have been backed enough since Ferguson left. So Moyes wasn't backed enough, Van Gaal wasn't backed enough, Mourinho wasn't backed enough, and Solskjaer's not been backed enough. Now obviously Woodward has come out several times to support Ole. He recently said that he's fully behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer despite us getting knocked out of the Champions League. And he said a few weeks ago that he will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows, because Ole a few weeks ago made a prediction ahead of the January transfer window and he said he doesn't expect many ins or outs. Now obviously Mauricio Pochettino has been the favourite to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the football club. He did recently say he would take the Man United job right now if it was offered to him. Pochettino is desperate for a return to management because he has been managerless now for over a year. Julian Nagelsmann, a few weeks ago, he was on our agenda. Reports from Germany recently said that Thomas Tuchel was on our agenda. And Massimiliano Allegri has been on our agenda a couple of times. We're not really known as a sacking football club, despite the fact we've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson left. Obviously, we sacked David Moyes. He endured 8.5 months at Man United. He's endured the shortest tenure at the club. We finished 7th under the David Moyes era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield in his first season. So Ollie's our fourth permanent manager since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. But I think Solskjaer's been facing the same problem as what Jose Mourinho was facing. Because obviously, when it comes to transfers, our board seemed to be clueless, and Mourinho made it clear to our board in the summer of 2018 that he wanted a centre-half. Obviously, he never got that centre-half in, and that's one of the main explanations why Jose Mourinho got sacked. There was a few other reasons as well. In general, he had bad disputes with our board, and he had bad disputes with our top players. Did Mourinho. But yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager now almost 2 years. It's nearly now his 2-year anniversary at the club. And this is his second full season at Manchester United. And I always said, didn't I, this was always going to be a big season for Ole. He did well in his first full season last season. He got us to 3 semi-finals, got us qualification for the Champions League, and also got us third. Ole is under contract with Man United until 2022. And I'm very, very sceptical that he will see out his contract at the football club. And he's managed over 100 games as Manchester United manager in all competitions. We have been in good form in the league recently because we are unbeaten in our last 5 league games. We've done well away from home. We are unbeaten. We're unbeaten away from home in the Premier League since January. So we've gone almost a year now without losing away from home in the league. And we've won our last 9 away games in the Premier League. But at home, we're not replicating what we're doing away from home. At home, we've been very, very poor this season. We've only won 1 game at Old Trafford in the Premier League this season. That was the 1-0 win against West Brom. In all competitions, we've won 2 at Old Trafford because we beat RB Leipzig by 5-0. But yeah, we have been enjoying our worst start at Old Trafford for around 50 years. Solskjaer recently said that Manchester United can win the Premier League title. So that's certainly what happened this season. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. So we haven't won it now for around 8 years. But like Neville said, we haven't had a title winning team for a good 6 years or so. And I've got to agree with him on that aspect. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spent over £200 million since he became Manchester United manager. And he's brought around 10 senior players in. And he's endured 4 transfer windows at the club. He's also brought quite a few young players into the club, so I do like the way he has promoted the youth. We've seen a lot of players depart the club since he got recommended in. And he has showed tactical flexibility in a lot of the big games. But we haven't dominated English football since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Alex Ferguson endured 27 years at Manchester United, won a total of 38 major honours, including 13 Premier League titles. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at the club. But no manager at Man United or no manager in general will replicate his legacy. Since Ferguson's left, we've been inconsistent, and before he came into the equation, we was inconsistent because we was poor under Wilf McGuinness, we was poor under Franco Farrell, got relegated under him back in 1974, which is 40 odd years ago now, and we was poor under Ron Atkinson, weren't we? I think it would be very beneficial as well if Manchester United got a director of footballing, because I think that's one of the structural changes that we need at the football club. We've been in the process of trying to get a director of footballing now for like the last 3 seasons. But if we are to get one in, we need someone who knows the culture of the club, someone who's got that experience and someone with the right philosophy. You know what I mean? We did draw 0-0 with Manchester City yesterday. You know, some Man United fans were happy with the point. Some Man United fans would have been disappointed because I think Manchester United needed to win that game. So we are obviously now 7th in the Premier League. I thought it was a poor game, like I said on my match reaction yesterday night. There weren't many chances in the game, was there? The only real clear-cut chance was from Riyad Mahrez, and it produced a fantastic save from David De Gea. Kevin De Bruyne had a couple of chances. I think Raheem Sterling had half a chance as well. He looked dangerous for City. We didn't do much in terms of an attacking intent. You know, Rashford had a few chances. He was poor yesterday, Rashford. Didn't really have that end product. Bruno Fernandes had a couple of shots from outside the box. And obviously we could have had a penalty. Kyle Walker brought Rashford down. Penalty being given by the referee, but VAR intervened and overturned it because obviously they said that Marcus Rashford was offside. But even if we'd have lost that game to Manchester City yesterday, I can assure Solskjaer would not have been sacked. Because obviously Woodward came out just before the game and said Solskjaer will not be sacked if we lose to Man City because Woodward remains fully behind him. You had Paul Merson coming out prior to the game saying that Solskjaer, you know, could be sacked if Manchester City beat Manchester United and all of that. But there you go. But both teams would have been disappointed with that draw. You know, it was the 183rd Manchester derby. But, you know, City are a good team. Obviously, they've been in good form recently, Manchester City. You know, before the play does, you know, they beat Marseille 3-0. They beat Fulham the other week 2-0. And they beat Burnley 5-0. But City didn't enjoy the best of starts to the season. You know, put into the equation, City have got one of the best managers in the world in Pep Guardiola. You know, he's been Man City manager since 2016. So he's enjoyed a good 4 years or so now at Man City. So far at Man City, he's won 2 Premier League titles. He's won the FA Cup, a few League Cups and the Charity Shield. Earlier on this season, he signed a 2-year contract with Man City. And a few seasons ago, City became the first team to get 100 points in a Premier League season. You know. But probably in the end, you know, a draw was a fair result. Our next game is Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. That is on the 17th, which is on Thursday. Manchester United should be winning that game. Sheffield United have been abysmal this season, sitting bottom of the league. Haven't even won a game yet in the Premier League this season. I'm surprised actually because Sheffield United did very, very well last season. I think the finish was at 8th or 9th last season. I think Chris Wilder's, you know, very, very close now to getting sacked. Chris Wilder's been at Sheffield United now for a few years, hasn't he? Before he was at Sheffield, he was at Northampton, Oxford, Halifax and Alfred Town. The game at Bramall Lane last season between us and Sheffield was actually 3-3, but we was 2-0 down at one point, so we did overcome a 2-goal deficit. We was 3-2 up, but Sheffield scored late on. We did beat them now at Old Trafford by 3-0. That was a Martial hat-trick last season. After Sheffield, we do play Leeds. Leeds will be a tougher game than Sheffield. You know, it's going to be the first Premier League meeting between Man United and Leeds since 2004. You know, Leeds were relegated in 2004 and they were out of the top flight for a good 16 years or so. But obviously Leeds won the Championship last season, so that's what obviously got them back in the Premier League. And that was their first trophy in 28 years. And Marcelo Bielsa's a pretty good manager, you know. He was the one that taught Pep Guardiola, so you can say Pep Guardiola at City is following Marcelo Bielsa's philosophy. After Leeds United, we've got Everton in the Carabao Cup. That'll be a hard game. Then we've got Leicester. So games are coming up thick and fast for Manchester United, aren't they? Now, obviously, you know the news on Paul Pogba. I give you the news on him this morning. Paul Pogba has spoken about his Man United future since Mini Riola's comments. Paul Pogba said that he's always fought, and he said he will always fight for Manchester United, for his teammates and the fans. And he says he's 1000% involved in Man United's project. And he said a few other things as well. Because Mini Raiola, Pogba's agent, came out earlier on this week and told Tuttosport that Paul Pogba's time at Manchester United is over. He did say he's unhappy and he has to leave. And he says that Paul Pogba's got no intentions of signing a new contract at the club. There's a good chance Paul Pogba will leave in January. He has been linked to a return to Juventus. It recently said that Juventus are plotting a loan deal for him. There has been rumours saying that, we could get Cristiano Ronaldo as part of the deal for Pogba. That'd be a good deal from our perspective, despite the fact that Ronaldo's 35. I heard that we could get Paul Dybala as part of the deal. We could even get Matthijs de Ligt as part of the deal. We've lowered our asking price for Paul Pogba. We will accept as low as £50 million. Ole Gunnar Solsjaer revealed before the City game that he's had conversations with Pogba, because he did say anyway that he talks to his players on a daily basis. And he just said that Paul Pogba is focusing on the football club. Analysing the vast majority of Paul Pogba's career has been inconsistent at Manchester United since he rejoined. But to his credit, he's done well recently. I thought he made an impact yesterday against City. He made an impact when he came on against RB Leipzig, got his name on the score sheet, and he scored the other week against West Ham. What a goal that was. That was his first goal for Manchester United in the league this season, was it? And that was his first start in the Premier League for over a month. Pogba had an ankle injury not so long ago, but Ollie confirmed that ankle injury was totally contrast to the one that he had last season. We triggered that 1 year extension on Paul Pogba's contract earlier on in the season, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. Obviously, Real Madrid have been relentlessly linked with him. Don't forget, earlier on this season, Pogba said one day his dream is to join Real Madrid. PSG, Barcelona and Inter Milan have been in for him before. Pogba scored 35 goals in 172 games for Man United. So, yeah. And I think there is good players at Manchester United. Like I've said, I think Marcus Rashford's very, very good. He weren't so good yesterday against Manchester City, but he's only enjoyed a couple of bad games this season. But in general, he has improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. Rashford plays centrally sometimes. Sometimes he plays out wide. But I think Marcus Rashford is more effective out wide than he is centrally. So I think we need to keep Marcus Rashford out wide. Marcus Rashford has been part of the club for several years. He's 23, he's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. So he's been in our senior squad now for a good 4.5 years or something like that. Didn't he have an ankle problem at the start of the season? He had a shoulder problem not so long ago. He had a back injury last season, don't forget. And that's the main explanation why we ended up bringing Odion Ighalo in as a cover-up. I think Martial's good when he wants to be. Martial just hasn't been good this season for Man United because he hasn't been clinical enough. Martial obviously came on against Man City yesterday. He missed the RB Leipzig game because obviously he was out with injury. He's recently had a groin problem. Started the game against West Ham the other week, but obviously got taken off. He had a chance in that West Ham game. He was unlucky. Had 2 chances against PSG. Should have converted at least one of them. You know, this season Martial's failing to replicate what he did last season. Because last season Martial scored 23 goals in 48 games. And he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. You know, Martial's enjoyed a good 5 years or so at the football club. Was it last season Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt? We got him in a deal worth £58 million from Monaco. I think, you know, we paid like £36 million up front with the rest in add-ons. We play him out wide, Martial, sometimes, but sometimes we put him up top. A lot last season he was actually playing centrally. I thought he was more effective centrally last season, but I don't know. He can play well in both positions, you know. Mason Greenwood, I think he's also a very, very good player as well. Greenwood's done well recently. He weren't so good against Man City yesterday, but I thought he was good against RB Leipzig. And he was also good last week against West Ham. And he got his name on the score sheet. But he's had personal issues this season, as you all know. He's had injuries, and he's also been out with illness. But Ollie's been defending Mason Greenwood a lot this season. This is his second season in our senior squad. Don't forget, the start of this season, we give Mason Greenwood that number 11 shirt. Greenwood's got a contract with Man United till 2023. You can play him out wide, on the right wing, you can play him centrally. I prefer him on the right wing, but there again, he can perform well centrally when he is playing alongside Marcus Rashford. Mason Greenwood's still got a lot of development in him. He's still got quite a few things to learn, hasn't he? Because he's only like, 19, is he? I think Edison Cavani is also a good player, and he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Didn't play no part yesterday against City because he has got a muscle problem. Should be back for the Sheffield game, no Cavani. The other week, you know, he came off the bench and scored twice against Southampton. And he got an assist, so he did change the complexion of that game. Obviously, he scored his first goal for the club in our 3-1 win against Everton. And he almost scored in his Premier League debut against Chelsea with his first touch when he came on. When we got Edison Cavani, I did say, didn't I, that he will be the next Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is a very, very good player. Bruno Fernandes is our best player and is the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Now, in most of Bruno Fernandes' games, he has been very, very consistent. You know, there's only been the odd couple of games where he has looked off the pace and he hasn't been so consistent. I think Bruno Fernandes' worst game in a Manchester United shirt was the 2-1 defeat to Istanbul Başakşehir in Turkey because he was dispossessed 34 times. You know, Bruno Fernandes has been at Manchester United now almost a year. He won Player of the Month for November. He's won that now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. He did say after the West Ham game, we was preparing to offer him a new contract worth £200,000 a week, you know, doubling his current wages. We paid £47 million for him from Sporting Lisbon back in January, Bruno Fernandes. I think Donny van der Beek's a good player as well. I don't actually know why he didn't play any part yesterday against City. I had a feeling he wasn't going to start anyway. Donny van der Beek's made 2 starts in the Premier League because he started the last week against West Ham and he started the other week against Southampton. When we have been playing him recently, we have been putting him in that deeper role. But that's where I think Donny van der Beek is more effective. But he can play in like 3 different roles, can't he? Donny van der Beek said, you know, he's willing to be patient and he's denied being unhappy at the club. Louis van Gaal's come out and said that he's made a mistake by joining Man United, but we did pay £40 million for him from Ajax. I think Fred's good as well. Got to say that. He's not world class, but he's good, and I thought he was quite good yesterday against Manchester City. I like the way that Fred breaks up the play. He dictates the play well at times. He gets forward well at times. Plays some good passes through. Fred's been at the club now for a few years. We paid £47 million for him from Shakhtar Donetsk. I've also got to say Luke Shaw's good as well. You know, he was quite good yesterday against Man City. I was surprised he started ahead of Alex Telles. You know, Luke Shaw put some good deliveries into the box from corners. I thought he kept City's winners fairly quiet in the game. Luke Shaw just come back from a hamstring problem not so long ago. My element of concern about Luke Shaw is that he is injury prone. He has enjoyed a good 6 years or so now at Manchester United. I think Alex Telles is a good player as well. You know, I think he's enjoyed a good start to his Manchester United career, Alex Telles. He had a bad game against RB Leipzig. That was the first bad game he's had since he's come to Man United, Alex Telles. We got him in a deal worth £15.4 million. I think Harry Maguire, you know, he's also good when he wants to be. I thought he was quite good yesterday against City. He wasn't brilliant. He did look a bit off the pace at times, a bit careless in possession. But I thought Harry Maguire, made 2 good blocks yesterday against City, you know, from Raheem Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne and that. He certainly wasn't worth the £80 million that we paid for him. You know, he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment, and he is our current captain. Don't forget Maguire had early season troubles. Eric Bailly's good. My only element of concern about Eric Bailly is that he's too injury prone. He is now back, isn't he? He did have a muscle injury, did Eric Bailly. He doesn't really get in the team now anyway. I think Victor Lindelof can be good when he wants to be, but I still got my reservations about Victor Lindelof. Because he's too slow, and Maguire's too slow, but Lindelof's not on the same level as Harry Maguire. Wan-Bissaka, you know, I think he's good. In most of his games this season, he's been very, very consistent. I think his worst game was the game against RB Leipzig earlier on this week in the Champions League, because he just looked far too exposed. And Wan-Bissaka, there's been a few games where he's looked too exposed this season. He weren't great against City yesterday either. You know, he got caught out by Jesus and he got caught out by Raheem Sterling. But my element of concern about Wan-Bissaka is his lack of attacking intent and his distribution. But sometimes he can get forward, he can get in decent positions, and he can put good crosses into the box. This is his second season at Man United. We got him in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. You know, I think Juan Mata is good and he's enjoyed good games this season. You know, my element of concern about Juan Mata is that he's lost that yard of pace and he's now, 33, 34 years of age. He's enjoyed a good career though at Man United. Mata's enjoyed a good 6 years or so now at Man United, hasn't he? You know, he's scored 50 goals for us in all competitions and he's made over 200 appearances in all competitions. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Earlier on this season, he rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. So these good players. Obviously, the poor players are Matic. I think he's very, very poor. When he has played this season, he's been poor. He's too slow, is Matic, isn't he? You know, Matic has enjoyed a good 3 years or so at the club now. Got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. But he did have some good games towards the end of last season. Pogba, like I said earlier on, in analysing the vast majority of his games, has been inconsistent, but recently has stepped up to the plate. Paul Pogba. Daniel James, he's been poor when he has played, but he's seldom played this season, you know. But when he has been out of form, like I mentioned. Obviously, Jesse Lingard, when he used to get in the team regularly, he was very, very inconsistent because obviously there was a period where he didn't score 1 goal or an assist in the Premier League for over a year. I think Lingard's one of the players that's going next year. He's no intentions of getting his contract extended. Phil Jones, he's been very, very inconsistent. This is Jones' 10th season now at Man United, isn't it? We've had him with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. He's currently out of injury at the moment. Marcus Rojo, he's never really established himself as a first team regular since he came in. Sergio Romero, he's our backup goalkeeper, isn't he? Obviously now he's our third choice. It's Sergio Romero. But yeah, there's going to be a few players we're going to get rid of next year. So anyway guys, that's everything to update with today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. Take care, God bless you all again very, very soon.